Alrighty, guys, welcome back. We're on day 3 of 28 of Let's Talk Black History/History. And in today's edition, we'll be talking about African American history in the U.S. Navy. We're going to try to make this video as quick and as simple as possible, and hope you guys can learn from it as well. It was began by starting off with the beginning process of the U.S. Navy all the way up until now. In early participation, African Americans served in the Continental Navy during the Revolutionary War, even though they faced discrimination limited to opportunities. They could only serve in certain ranks as African American men and women came along in the U.S. Navy. It wasn't until many years later that ended up changing. And although the discrimination was big during the U.S. Navy, that wasn't something that their slogan or motto was. Their motto was to serve and protect the country and the U.S. Navy base as beautiful and as healthy as possible, I would say, without discrimination. But how could you serve a U.S. Navy base and only the white and the black could serve only certain parts? Well, it wasn't until a slave who commanded a Confederate transport ship, the CSS Planner, during the Civil War and delivered it to the Union. He later served in the U.S. House of Representatives. Following, there were 13 men who only received the official Golden Award officers for the U.S. Navy in the year of 1944. The Golden 13, which was the Navy Commission, is first African Americans breaking a significant barrier. There is about 16 U.S. Navy boats named after African American heroes. It wasn't until about 1948 under that black men and women actually became equal opportunity treatment without discrimination of sex, race, origin, or nationality. Which meaning that no matter your skin color, your tone, your race, the way that you speak, the way that you look, your hairstyle, or your sexual orientation as well, that you will be able to serve the U.S. Navy equally. Fast forward into the year 2000, which became a bigger impact of discrimination in the U.S. Navy and changing things as well, which was when President Bill Clinton signed a proclamation saying that the month of June will be identified as LGBTQI Pride Month. After that, it was a few years later and into the Obama administration, President Obama administration also, where not only was more equal and fair opportunity for men and women to serve the U.S. Navy base, but also with LGBTQIA members as well. In the early 1960s and 70s, you could not serve the U.S. Navy base if you were a homosexual or following and being caught in any type of homosexual act. Fast forward few years later, few years ahead now, under the President Biden administration, which signed a higher executive serving that even if you were caught or even if you did serve as a U.S. Navy servant or member, that you could still serve the military for however long as you want, no matter your sex, race, origin, or nationality as well, whether you were a homosexual or heterosexual as well. And so I believe that now in the U.S. Navy, versus the early 1700s, 1800s to the 1900s, and to the new generation, which I call it now, the U.S. Navy servants and members have progressed a whole lot more, especially under different president terms. And I would say that so much has swiftly changed also in regards to segregation. It may not be as is for racism, because we'll talk about that in another story. But I do believe that segregation has swifted away in a lot of factors and matters as well, in the entire U.S. and in the U.S. Navy base as well. Because, I mean, any job or anywhere that you put yourself should always be equally opportunity treatment without any type of discrimination. And no matter where you work, whether it's a grocery store, whether you're working at an auto shop, or if you are working in the U.S. Navy or a hospital or a lawyer or anything. With these being said, you can find a lot of this information at usni.org, or you can visit us.naval/institute.org to find more facts for the U.S. Navy as well. And also, before I end this video, if you guys watch the movies 6888 on Netflix by Tyler Perry, it teaches you all how there were these black women, and they were the only black baton women that served in the U.S. Army, and their main focus was to deliver these mail all across the country within a certain amount of time. They were the only black women to do that, and they got the job done as well.